Yo, ready to get right into it. I'm gonna try to do some stuff on my phone, but I wanted to get one more video out.
Wrestling belts, the title that was held by countless Hall of
I'm
Famers,
finna light
including Ric Flair, Triple H, Sting, Hulk Hogan, and even Jack Swagger. The title belt itself
Damn,
has
that
transcended
last
pro
one.
wrestling and is seen as the belt of wrestling in the same way as Nintendo is gaming for non fans. The design has been the main title for the
Man, this
NWA,
Punisher.
WCW, WWE, and has inspired belts for countless other promotions. But to get to the real history of the belt, we have to go all the way back to 1985 when the belt was first designed. Now, the Big Gold Belt has a different origin than most titles. It wasn't made by your traditional belt makers. Instead, it was designed by a famous silversmith known for making rodeo belt buckles named Charles Crumrine. The belt was initially planned to have NWA lettering featured at the top. Now, here's the original concept drawings, and it definitely would have changed the feel of the title. Now, Leather Rebels, a belt company, did take a crack at making their own take of the NWA concept Big Gold, but for me, nothing is topping the original design. But when the NWA received the quoted price, they chose to actually not purchase the belt. But Nelson Royal, the man who actually ordered the belt on behalf of the NWA, went ahead with the purchase, of course with no letters or logos, and intended to use the belt for himself. But once Jim Crockett saw the completed belt, he fell in love with the title and bought it from Nelson. So now we know how the first Big Gold came to be. Let's take an in-depth look at the belt and the future copies that came with it. The original Big Gold was hand engraved with sterling silver plates, with a rope border, wrestlers, crowns, stone holders, and letters soldered on. Now, the beauty of the belt did cause some issues, with many wrestlers would actually try to pop the stones from the title, thinking they were real and to sell them. Now, the plates were on a beautiful brown strap, but over the many years, the strap would take a beating and it would almost look completely black. The plates also took a beating, especially at WCW Hog Wild 1996, where the title was tagged NWO in black spray paint by Hulk Hogan. But crazy enough, the belt would then be spray painted again on the January 4th, 1999 episode of Nitro by once again Hulk Hogan, this time in red. And they do say that to this day, the original Crumrine actually still has little specks of black paint from the initial spray painting by Hulk Hogan, which is crazy. But in the year 2000, the Big Gold looked extremely different. The belt seemed smaller and it was all gold instead of the dual plated look it was known for. So, what happened? Well, WCW actually sent the original belt to the company, AFX Studios, to restore the belt. And while there, they made 5 cast copies of the title, one for Kevin Nash, one for DDP, one for Jeff Jarrett, and one for Scott Steiner. And then there's one unknown owner. I believe it's actually at the AFX Studios. I believe one of the people kept it. But what happened to the other cast copies? Well, Kevin Nash sold his to Dave Milliken. DDP still has his. Jeff Jarrett's copy is now at the Hogan's Beach Shop, where Hulk Hogan actually has a spray painted NWO. And then Scott Steiner actually swapped his cast copy for the original Crumrine in the late 2000s and sold it to Conrad, which is absolutely nuts. I'm surprised he didn't get in legal trouble. I guess just because WCW was such a mess, nothing really came of it. Now, the design itself actually stayed the same pretty much, besides the all gold aspect, but it definitely didn't have the same pop as the original. Now, this belt was used from the late 2000s when Scott Steiner swapped the belt. It was used from WCW's demise all the way through the invasion. Then the belt was unified as the WWE Undisputed Championship before being introduced back in 2002 as the WWE World Heavyweight title. But after this, it does get kind of hard because there were a bunch of small changes to WWE's version, with the belt getting smaller and smaller over time. But let's go when the WWE's version was first introduced, which was the Raw before WrestleMania 19. The belt that was introduced was the JMAR 3D Big Gold. Now, the biggest change to this belt, of course, was for the first time it actually had a WWE logo on the top. It was actually the first time there was a logo on the Big Gold in general. It had the scratch logo up there, which honestly doesn't look too bad. Now, the stones do seem to be a little bit bigger on the updated Big Gold, and it has that beautiful 3D texturing, hence the name, of course. Now, in 2008, the belt did go through some small changes. The title seemed to change shape a little bit, but this is also when they started using different belts for different things like a TV belt, house show belt, a talk show belt, different things like that. But the next big change came in 2011 with the feud between Randy Orton and Christian when the 2D Milliken Big Gold was debuted. Now, the belt didn't last long. I believe it was like 2 weeks, but a lot of people loved this belt. It had 2D engraving and it made the details on the main plate pop way better. Now, like I said, within the next couple weeks, the belt was replaced with another JMR 3D Big Gold, this time with a red croc backing. And that was pretty much it. There were no big major changes to the belt besides it slowly getting smaller from being casted multiple times. The belt was then retired in 2014, and that was it for the Big Gold until April 24, 2023, when WWE debuted the new World Heavyweight title. While it does share the same name as the original Big Gold, it doesn't share the same lineage from the WWE's World Heavyweight title or the WCW Heavyweight title, which is really weird. Now, this belt is heavily inspired by the Big Gold, but it has enough differences where it isn't a direct copy of the belt. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to be a fan of me including this on the list, but I think it fits. Now, for the last Big Gold on this list, we have to go to a belt that was never really used on TV besides a handful of times. And that belt is the Vegas Big Gold. Now, for the creation of this belt, it starts with Ric Flair when he jumped ship from WCW to WWF in 1991 as the World Heavyweight Champion. He actually brought the WWF's biggest competitor's world title with him on TV because I believe they owed him $25,000 as a deposit. When you won the world title back then, you actually had to put a deposit down, but they didn't want to give him his deposit. So he took the belt with him. Now, this of course caused some major anger from Ted Turner, who sued the WWF for using the belt on screen. And to avoid any legal ramifications, the WWF started pixelating the title on TV, and Ric Flair started using a modified WWF Tag Team title on shows with live audiences. In the meantime, WWF was getting a very similar title made with subtle changes such as the word placing, moving the crown, and removal of the nameplate. They even filmed promos in Las Vegas with their modified version, hence the name the Vegas Big Gold. Now, sadly, the lawsuit meant anything resembling the real world's heavyweight champion belt could not be shown on TV again, and the angle was dropped when Ric Flair actually captured the WWF heavyweight title, or the WWF title, at the Royal Rumble in 1992. And that's pretty much it. That's the complete updated history of the Big Gold belt. Now, history could change at any point in time because the actual design of the Big Gold belt isn't actually copyrighted, so anyone could use it, from your local indie to even, say, AEW. Nothing's stopping them. So maybe one day another Big Gold will pop up, but until then, I do thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Bye-bye.
That's what's up, man. Thank y'all for watching. I might do another one later.